Hey everyone, I'm JD. That's me.
Who's your favorite player?
Right now it's Cody Ross. He's just been on fire lately, and he's just great.
It's kind of amazing. He's unstoppable.
Yeah, he's just all those home runs, just great.
I'm proud to introduce the first issue of A Numbers Game, where I dive into the stats and figures that tell the story of the San Francisco Giants. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Giants' new star center fielder, Jung Hoo Lee. And the number that stands out for us today is 44. 44. That's the most home runs a center fielder has hit for the San Francisco Giants since 1998. Why 1998? Simple. I was born after the 1997 season, so Marquise Grissom's 44 home runs are the most I've ever seen a Giant center fielder hit. It's worth pointing out that home runs aren't really the selling point on Lee, or really most center fielders. Every so often, you'll have a Mike Trout or a Ken Griffey Jr., but Lee, like most other mortal beings, isn't really expected to go long all that much. Home runs here are more a marker of longevity than anything. If you can rack up home runs for a team without being a notable power hitter, it means that you're doing something right everywhere else. More importantly, it means that you're someone a team can rely on and fans can get behind. Let's take a look at who some of these guys have been for the Giants lately. In the past 26 years, there have been 71 players who have taken an at-bat for the Giants while playing center field. At the very low end, you have Julio Ramirez and Eric Young Sr., but also Ray Durham and Hunter Pence, who have each come to the plate a grand total of one time as San Francisco center fielder. Pence and Eric Young don't even have an actual at-bat to their name, since both of them drew a walk in that plate appearance. On the other hand, you have Angel Pagan, who leads San Francisco in my lifetime with 1,916 plate appearances. Other than Austin Slater, who has been with the Giants for 6 going on 7 years now, although not as a starter, Pagan's 5-year tenure is tied for the longest in San Francisco this century. The other center fielders with at least 1,000 plate appearances are Aaron Rowan, Marvin Bernard, Marquise Grissom, and Denard Span, actually. He had nearly 1,200 plate appearances for San Francisco despite being on the team for just 2 years. Great dude. And though they missed the cutoff, honorable mentions go out to Gregor Blanco, Andres Torres, Randy Wynn, and Mike Yastrzemski, whose contributions shall not be forgotten. There are, well, a lot more names I could shout out, many of them memorable, for good or for bad, but purely from a production standpoint, none of them have eclipsed Marquise Grissom's 44 home runs for San Francisco, although Marvin Bernard would come close if you included his first 3 years there. Still, 44 home runs. Is that a lot? It doesn't seem like a lot to me. I feel like you should be able to hit 44 home runs with a team pretty easily if you're their starter. If you can hit 11 a year for 4 years, then there you go. But maybe it's not that easy. Let's see what everyone else has been up to in the past 26 years. Okay, Michael A. Taylor is the Washington Nationals home run leader with 43. That's a good start. Let's see how everyone else is. Oh. So it turns out that every other team in the MLB, except the Giants and Nationals, has had a center fielder who's hit at least 55 home runs for them in the past 26 years, which, not great for San Francisco. We're going to have to invoke the Chili Davis curse here, which has stretched on for a while now. It's been rough for Giants outfielders lately, with a pretty notable exception.
Deals, and Bonds hits one high, hits it deep, it is out of here! Bonds stands alone.
All of this sets the stage for Jung Hoo Lee. He may not count as a homegrown prospect, but as an international free agent, there's a chance this team ends up being the only MLB organization he ever knows. And the bar in front of him almost literally could not be lower. If Lee can be the Giants' everyday center fielder for the next 5 years, he should be able to shatter a lot of records from the past quarter century. The question, of course, is, will he? Who knows, but we do have a little bit of information to work with. Lee's been in the Korean leagues for the last 7 years, and he's hit between 2 and 26 home runs a year there. That's given him about 9 home runs a calendar year. He's definitely not a long ball artist, but, he can put one out there every so often. We also have projection systems we can look at, and shout out to Ben Kaspick for compiling a pretty broad chunk of them. His takeaway is that all of them have Lee hitting between 285 and 291, striking out about as much as he walks, and hitting somewhere between 8 and 11 home runs over a full season. If we assume that Lee is going to stay at that level, then a pessimistic projection is that he'd hit 44 home runs about halfway into his 5th year with the Giants, which, coincidentally, fits neatly into the 6-year, $132 million deal he has here. If he stays mostly healthy and active through this contract, it's not hard to see him passing Marquise Grissom on the 21st century leaderboards. Of course, there's a lot that could go wrong, or right, in that span. Lee could get injured a lot, he could opt out in 2027 before the deal's over, or he could tap into some line drive power and get to 40 by the end of year 3. There's no telling how it's going to turn out, but Lee is young, he's got a couple of elite skills, and he seems like exactly the player you make a long-term bet on. 44 really doesn't have the ring to it that 660 or 762 have, But for a Giants team that desperately needs star power and a dude who can play ball, watch out. That number could end up being bigger than you think. Thanks again, everyone, for supporting Bayside Baseball. If you'd like to see more, please click on one of these links on the screen. And if there aren't links on the screen, then I'm going to look very silly. Thank you.